Fresh off his battles with the vampire horde, Steve Rogers is ready to put together a brand new team of Earth's mightiest heroes to do battle with a never-ending deluge of world-ending threats. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Avengers Assemble issue number 1, a brand new series courtesy of Steve Orlando, and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, as we join the book, we're in Germany as Sin, daughter of the famous Red Skull, murders a group of archaeologists so that she can steal away their prize. What was so important that it was worth killing for? Well, it was the death mask of Arita, aka the Goddess of Hate, and if that name sounds familiar to you, it should, because that was a character that was actually invented over in James Robinson's Uncanny Avengers Annual from 2015. The mask supercharges Sin's ability and allows her to sow seeds of hate within the hearts of everyone around her, but I mean, really, what's the worst that can happen? It's just a bunch of hateful German people. I mean, it's not like they have a dark history. Oh no. Back in the States, Captain America Steve Rogers is already on the case. In fact, it seems that he's gotten the old Avengers mansion out of mothballs. Steve and Jarvis hope they can make this place the new home and headquarters of the Avengers Emergency Response Division. Again, Steve felt that this was necessary following the rise of the vampire threat, Doctor Doom becoming Sorcerer Supreme, and even the rest of mutant kind trying to reintegrate with society following the fall of Krakoa. So yeah, Earth's mightiest heroes are pretty damn busy these days. And as such, they're going to need all hands on deck. Steve put out a bunch of feelers to a bunch of fan favorites to join his brand new operation, and the first 3 have already shown up in the garden to help him deal with this Sin problem. There's Shang-Chi, Photon Monica Rambeau, and even the Wasp Janet Van Dyne. Most of these characters have long storied histories with the Avengers, including Monica being a leader, Janet being a founding member, and Shang-Chi himself, who makes a little crack about how it's been so long since he's been on the team, he thought his ID card wouldn't even work anymore to get him in the front gate. Now, 4 Avengers doesn't exactly a whole team make, but it looks like this squad is going to have to deal with this Sin problem and quickly, while the other members, well, you know, assemble. By the time the good guys actually manage to make it to Germany, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. The local populace has gone feral and are actively tearing strips out of each other. Sin, in her brand new Goddess of Hate form, goes on a whole spiel about how this is man at its most natural and unfettered, that hate has existed in humanity since the dawn of time, since Cain slew Abel. Rome itself was built on the back of brother murdering brother, and now the world will return to that state under Sin. Now, I know what you're thinking, well, this is a pretty fun and pretty familiar setup. Well, get ready, because it's at this point here the comic actually ends up taking quite an unexpected turn. You see, all this stuff with Sin and the Death Mask actually turns out to be a giant smokescreen operation for a newly reformed Serpent Society, who are using the chaos of this attack to steal a cask of ancient whale oil that they plan to use in one of their evil rituals. Honestly, it's just kind of cool to see the Serpent Society back again and doing their thing in a mainline Avengers book, and I promise we will come back to them by the end. But wait, there's more. While Cap and his team do battle against a supercharged Sin back at Avengers Mansion, all the other new members of Cap's team start filing in. There's familiar faces like Hawkeye, cult favorites like Lightning, who all these years later is actually still trading on his amazing defeat of an Elder of the Universe during the classic Avengers No Surrender series. And honestly, you know what? I gotta hand it to him. That is still awesome all these years later, and that story is still an absolute gem. Every super team needs its muscle, and in this situation, that role will be filled by Jen Walters, the She-Hulk, but we also end up getting some really unexpected members of the team too, like Julie Power of the Power Pack. Honestly, I'm shocked to see her not being drawn as an actual child. It feels like most Power Pack stories I see are those kind of cutesy throwbacks to when they were all kids. Though, speaking of which, in a fun twist, we learn Julie is here mainly because Captain America felt that his brand new Avengers group could use a young person's perspective. Though, unlike, say, a Kamala Khan or a Miles Morales who seem to know a lot about the greater superhero community, Julie is actually kind of sheltered. What do I mean means she's only seen one Wonder Man movie, and only because her dad is a fan. Now, back at the big fight, Sin's psychic hateful attacks actually end up seeping into the minds of our heroes. They turn on each other and actually say some things that might very well have more truth to them than they dare admit. Luckily for them, Shang-Chi is a master of his own body and is able to actually target the pressure points in their brain that govern the hate centers. So, to put it simply, he literally uses chi to knock the hate out of his teammates, and because he did such a good job on this mission, Cap even lets him lead the first inaugural war cry of Avengers Assemble. Oh man, I hope this becomes a running thing throughout this series where every character gets a chance to say it at least once. Now, while Arita's death mask manages to make Sin incredibly powerful, at the end of the day, our heroes are able to put together that she's still just flesh and bone under the mask, meaning that they can still beat her, assuming that they can get a little bit more creative. It's Photon and Wasp who decide to set up one hell of a 1-2 punch. You see, Janet shrinks on down while Photon is being choked so she can crawl up Sin's nose, which is admittedly not quite as effective as, say, I don't know, Ant-Man crawling up Thanos' dickhole, but it's still up there, I would say. This gives Photon the opportunity to grab Captain America's shield and fly all around the Earth at super Mach speed, before crashing into Sin face first with Steve's almost unbreakable shield. And I know what you're thinking, by God, shouldn't Sin's head absolutely explode due to that much trauma? Well, thankfully, the extra magic power allows her to survive. Though, really, that's about it, as she is forced to make a last-minute withdrawal from the battle, no doubt to darken our hero's doorstep another day. With the villain vanquished, the day is officially saved, and Captain America's brand new Avengers Emergency Response Team has finally all managed to make their way to the mansion. Surprisingly, the last addition to the team is actually Night Thrasher, of all people, sans skateboard. Dwayne also comes bearing gifts too, as he's actually put together the team's brand new uniform, saying that they're going to need something for people to look to and be inspired by. Honestly, I'm surprised Janet isn't upset, as she is like, an actual fashion designer. But hey, I guess that's going to be a team argument for another day. Now, we're still not done. As the comic comes to a close, we actually managed to check back on in with the Serpent Society, and oh man, this might actually be the biggest incarnation of the team we've ever seen, with lots of different members from the team's long history all together under one roof, as well as under the leadership of Viper, aka Jordan Strike. Well, actually, he's decided to change his name to Pit Viper, saying that the organization is upgrading themselves. And it's not just in names and costumes either. The Serpent Society's faith is also undergoing an overhaul. No longer will they worship Set. Instead, they will pledge their allegiance to another famous snake from mythology. Perhaps you've heard of this one, a Crimson Serpent, who once ran roughshod over the Garden of Eden. Of course, I'm talking about the Devil, aka Mephisto. But whose marriage is he gonna steal this time? I guess we'll have to check back in issue 2 and find out, won't we? And so that was Avengers Assemble issue number 1, everybody, and I went into this book thinking I was going to enjoy it, but man, this one really blew me away. Steve Orlando has always had a great voice when it comes to writing comics, and here he infuses it into a much bigger team book. And speaking of, the composition on this team is really wonderful. We got a little new, a little old, a little cult favorite all together under the same roof, and that roof is Avengers Mansion. A place that I know comic fans have been begging Marvel to actually make use of again, and here they are. I feel like when this book was announced, a bunch of people judged it way too quickly and way too harshly. Oh, it's a secondary Avengers book made up of a bunch of current MCU phase adjacent characters who maybe didn't get their time to shine in the movies or on streaming. And yet, if you actually read the book, what you'll find is actually one of the most quintessentially Marvel throwbacks in a very long time. Yes, a bunch of these characters are in the current MCU phase right now, so there is definitely some synergy going on, but once you get over that, Shang-Chi, She-Hulk, Wonder Man, Lightning, these are just like the characters who used to make up the main Avengers team before it was decided that every brand new Avengers comic needed Thor, Iron Man, and Cap. And the wonderfully retro throwback stuff doesn't even stop there either. They're living in the Avengers Mansion again, something I know fans have been clamoring for forever. They're fighting the Serpent Society. You couldn't ask for more old-timey Avengers foes. Even just calling the book Avengers Assemble too was a genius idea. It's not the West Coast Avengers, or the Uncanny Avengers, or even the New Avengers. This is Avengers Assemble. It's all Avengers. It's on the same level as the other book. And honestly, I hope this series runs for a long time because it's giving me everything I was missing from that Jed MacKay book, which is why I would give this one a very well-deserved 8.5 out of 10. Good stuff.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.